Welcome to tonight's edition of Hey Chimo, What's for Supper? Welcome to our channel. We're all about faith, family, home, and farm. Come on in and grab a chair and sit a spell with us. If you like readable versions of all of our content, be sure to check out both of our blogs. The links to our blogs will always be in the description box below our videos. Me and hubby love to tag team it, sometimes for supper time. So he got to thinking last night, what meat should I lay out? I'm like, you know what? We do this all the time. You pick the meat, we'll fix it however you want it. I'll throw the sides together, okay? But y'all, he went one extra mile. He wound up planning the whole meal. So here we go. It is morning time, and we have a ham steak from a hog that we had processed going in the crock pot with some beef bouillon. He wants me to use my onion gravy, caramelized onions that I canned up for us. We're going to turn this into a gravy. That's going to go on top of the ham steak. I'm going to be using some of our home canned green beans, and I'm going to be making a green bean casserole. Then he wants me to use some of our frozen butternut squash wedges and turn them into candied or glazed butternut squash wedges. I'll be doing those in the air fryer. That will be tonight's supper, and when I get all this put together, or when I start cooking it and I start getting it all prepped and ready to go, I'll take you through that process with me. All right, dear hubby has got the ham steak out of the crock pot, drained, and put on a cookie sheet with some seasonings. We're just going to bake it to give it a little crunch. Then I'm going to start spraying my dishes, getting ready to prep them with some nonstick cooking spray. I had took my butternut squash wedges. This is in a vacuum seal bag. I just snipped the top off of it. And this is how we do a lot of our vegetables that we have vacuum sealed and put in our freezer. I will just take it out that morning, let it thaw out. And then when I get ready to use it, I just squeeze the juice out of it. So let's get started on this green bean casserole. I just take my home canned green beans. I'm going to put them in this old Corning ware casserole dish. I'm going to be taking my cream of mushroom soup. I'm just gonna mix and bake in the same bowl, y'all. Why mess up more dishes than you have to? So I'm just gonna take 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. One of these days I'm gonna learn how to make our own cream of anything soups. I'm gonna start with mushroom soup because we seem to use it more than anything. Then I'm just gonna take a little bit of milk, and you can make this as thin as you want or as thick as you want. You can add more than that. I know a lot of times the recipe calls for a can of milk. You know, you can measure it in the can and pour it in there, but y'all, I'm not making the soup. I'm putting this in a casserole. So I'm just going to stir this all together in the same casserole dish. I'm going to season it with salt and pepper a little bit. Y'all, if you want to know how we preserve, whether freezing or canning a lot of our vegetables that we grow in our garden, like our green beans, our caramelized onions, freezing our butternut squash, I canned some butternut squash. Y'all check out all of our videos on our canning and preserving playlist. There's a bunch, and you can learn how to can a lot of wonderful good things. I'm cheesy, y'all. I love cheese in my green bean casserole. Some people don't. Some people do, like me. So I'm going to load that baby up with some cheese. The meat is, the ham steak is still in the oven, just enough to just giving it a little crunch and keeping it warm. Dear hubby's gonna come and check on the meat. And I do believe he was spending a little time flirting with me in the kitchen. That's just what we do, y'all. Keep dating when you're married. Now I'm going to smother the top in some of these crunchy French fried onions. You can use whatever brand you want. And y'all, I do like to toast mine, and I like to get them brown and crunchy and crispy. You bake these however you want to. But I like mine toasty and crunchy. Now we're going to get the butternut squash ready. The green bean casserole is all prepped. I'm just going to take my butternut squash out. And the reason why I squeeze the water out, y'all, is because, you know, you don't want these watery when you're getting ready to bake them. And they have been frozen. We don't have a root cellar, y'all, so we either can it or we freeze it. Maybe someday that might be an option, is for us to have a place where we can store and have fresh vegetables all the time for their shelf life. But we don't, and we either have to can it or freeze it. And I've just learned all the tips and tricks on how to cook with frozen vegetables. Now, I'm going to do two things at one time. I'm going to get the glaze that's going to go on the butternut squash. I've got a little saucepan with some butter, and I'm going to use brown sugar, and we're just going to melt those together to make the glaze to go on the candied butternut squash. Dear hubby loves this combination. He loves that brown sugar to give something a candied effect. In the other saucepan, I'm going to make a roux to make the onion gravy with, using my caramelized onions. I'm just melting some butter, and I'm going to get started on the roux. I just got to get the heat going. I see it melting there. We're just going to get those to going. That butter's got to melt in that saucepan. If you don't know how to make gravy, just watch. We're just going to learn how to make some gravy. Dear hubby's going to taste test the meat here right quick to make sure it's okay and tender and juicy. It was a little hot. He says it's okay. He tasted it. I think I cut it off before he got it in his mouth, but he told me that it was tasty. The little skillet with the butter wound up melting first, so I'm just going to start it first. But I don't want to scorch my butter on the other side, so I got it off just for a second until I get this glaze melted. I didn't want to scorch that butter, but this side heated up quicker, so I'll just do it first. So we're just going to melt and mix that brown sugar together till we just get a glaze. And I don't think I had enough butter, so we will I think I'm getting a little bit more butter there to put in there. Yes, because I didn't have enough butter. And I better get that saucepan back on that stove before I burn myself. Okay, we're going to let that melt again. Now we're going to start putting some flour into that melted butter into that saucepan. And you're going to whisk these two ingredients together until it gets bubbling. I spilled some on my stove and it started smoking there for a second. Spilled some flour on my eye. You're going to mix these together till it's like a bubbly paste. That's called your roux. So I'm going to whisk that without scorching anything. In the meantime, that butter is still melting in that pan for the butternut squash. So I'm just trying to multitask here. Y'all do two things at one time if they'll cooperate with me, or if I'll keep up one. So we're just going to mix this all together. Y'all just get in your kitchen and play and experiment and have a good time. I'm always telling you that. So now we got our caramelized onions, home canned caramelized onions. Y'all, that was the best idea I ever come up with, and I'm so glad I did, because we use this all the time. Meatloaves, pork chops, you name it. Well, that has been a good staple in my pantry. So now we added that, and we are just going to let it start simmering and bubbling up until it becomes a little thick, like dear hubby wants it. He tells me when he likes it, you know, okay, that looks good, go ahead and cut it off or whatever. He don't like his gravy incredibly thick. So I let him be the judge of it, and I've just about learned how he likes it, so we'll go with that. So now we're going to start pouring this glaze on top of here. But y'all, I had my ceiling fan on at this same time, and it was hardening that brown sugar back up because that fan was hitting it and cooling it off. So I had to put it back on the stove, heat it up very quickly, and hurry up and get this on there, and I cut my fan off. So I finally got to get it brushed on there, and after I cut my fan off and I heated it up again so it wouldn't hurry up and cool it off and start hardening it up. But y'all, this is one way we like to eat our butternut squash, is in wedges like this, candy them. And then I have made French fry wedges using butternut squash and deep fried them. Those were good. I've just gotten very creative cooking with our frozen vegetables from the garden. And I have changed my mind, y'all. I'm not going to do these in the air fryer. I'm already heating up the oven, so why heat up another appliance if I don't have to? So these are going to wind up going in the oven anyway. So I've got all that brushed on there, y'all. I like to have everything coated really good. I'm OCD like that. So those are prepared, and we're going to get ready to throw them in the oven as soon as it comes back up to temperature. We're just going to get those in there. Come back and get the green bean casserole, throw that in there. We're going to bake those until the butternut squash is fork tender and a little caramelized, and the green bean casserole cooks through and bubbly, and I like mine a little brown on top, y'all. Let's get back to this gravy. Hubby told me it's like the consistency that he wants, so I'm going to go with that. Cut it off. Just let it stay warm and simmer. I'm going to take this time in my kitchen while something is baking, and I've told y'all this in a lot of videos. Use your time wisely in your kitchen when you're in there cooking while something is in the oven baking, or something's frying, or something's simmering. Go ahead and use that time in your kitchen to do your cleaning up. Then that way, after supper, the only thing you should have to clean up is, like, you know, maybe your silverware and your plates that you ate off of, your glasses you drank out of. Throw them in the dishwasher if you've got one. And then maybe the pots and pans. Now, we do what, I'm old school, y'all. I learned from generations before me. We don't waste anything. We repurpose things, and that includes vacuum seal bags and Ziploc bags. I don't wash aluminum foil, though. I hadn't got to that point yet. But if it's only had like vegetables in there, we do not do this with chicken or anything that's had a greasy meat in it, because you won't hardly get that out of those vacuum seal bags. But anything that's just had vegetables in it, I do rewash them, and we will keep reusing them until there is no bag left to be able to vacuum seal with. This has saved us a lot of money. I do have a video too on that playlist of how we use our vacuum sealer. And then I use this time, we're still waiting on those things to bake, and I realized, hey, you know, my flour's getting low. Let's just go ahead and restock that right quick. So I use my time in my kitchen wisely, and y'all do the same thing to make your cleanup after supper even easier and quicker. Who wants to be in the kitchen all night long after cooking, having to clean? Y'all, I'm loving my new pantries, my organization. I'm still learning and organizing things, and then I have to remember where I put everything. But I'm loving our kitchen. And while those are baking, it's like it's taking forever. I gotta show y'all something I bought me and my mama. Y'all know I'm in the middle of my bread baking series, and I am making videos for everyone, trying to share my knowledge, and I'm even teaching my mama how to bake bread, y'all. And I'm so proud of her. My baby's growing up. I bought these. These came in a 2-pack. Both of them did. The storage containers here, the bread keepers, it was a 2-pack. They have lock-in lids, and then this container where I can use to put like bagels and the artisan loaves. The lid acts as a cutting board at the same time, and I can put other round loaves and stuff like that in there. These are in our Amazon store on our kitchen essentials list, y'all, for bread baking. But they came in a 2-pack, so I got one for me, one for my mommy. And this is the consistency that dear hubby likes this gravy, so I'm just going to pour it up in here. He don't like really thick gravy. So I'm going to pour it in this bowl. Y'all get them last little giblets. Don't waste nothing. I'm going to test a little bite here. And it's good, y'all. That is one of the best things I have canned. We love this gravy. You got to catch that video. Catch those onions when they're on sale. That's what I did. All of these are out of the oven now, and we're just going to start plating up. I told y'all I like my French fried onions a little toasty and crispy. That's just me, y'all, but you do y'all's however you want yours done. I got dear hubby a plate. I got me a plate. Yeah, some of them we have his and hers. I like my flowers. He likes his hunting, so I'm going to get our plates fixed up here. We're going to start with the ham steaks. I got to keep my guy's belly full. He did really good on the ham steaks. We are learning how to take choice cuts of meat from the animals that we have processed, learn different ways to cook them and bake them and grill them, and yes, we're learning a lot with fresh meats and things. When we raised chickens, we didn't use any of them for meat. I just didn't have the heart to. I had all my hens for laying purposes. But if we ever, when hubby retires, I want to go back to raising chickens, and I will raise a breed specifically for meat, and they will be separate from my hen layers. And I'm just going to have to buck up, y'all, if I want to help put food on the table. And I'm going to learn how to process chickens. This is a learning year for me. I'm going to learn some things. But we're going to have to wait until dear hubby retires before I can go back to raising chickens, because we need to be there all the time. So we got our butternut squash on our plates. Now we're going to pile up some of this gravy on those pork chops. Look at those onions, y'all. But like I said, I'm also wanting to learn how to start doing our own cream of anything soups. I like cream of celery and cream of mushroom, and that's two things I want to learn how to make and make our own, and ditch a lot of these canned and processed foods. Now, I don't grow mushrooms, y'all. I would, and celery, so I would buy the mushrooms and the celery when they were on sale, bring them home and process them into making our own cream of those soups. Now we're going to dig into this green bean casserole. I just love mine crunchy, y'all. I like to hear mine go crackle, you know, that little sound it makes. I can't do it, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Look at that cheese pull. I told y'all I was cheesy. I love cheese in my green bean casserole. Everybody doesn't. Y'all do y'all's, I'm going to do mine, and I'm going to be like a little mouse, and I'm going to love every bit of it. We're going to finish fixing dear hubby's plate. But we love tag teaming it in the kitchen and coming up with our own meals and just throwing things together on a whim. We have learned a lot how to cook with our canned and frozen vegetables, and we're just playing around and experimenting. Now in my butternut squash video, I think I've got 4 or 5 different ways that I preserve butternut squash. Same thing with our pumpkin video. Watch that one too. There's like 4 or 5 different ways I preserve the butternut squash and the pumpkins. Now, do y'all see that plate? Look at those little crispy little edges on that candied butternut squash. There's that ham steak with that wonderful gravy. Now y'all know we got a taste test, so let's just do one thing at a time. We're gonna do the green bean casserole first. Look at that pull. I didn't want to lose that bite, y'all. Now I do green bean casserole all the time, so y'all, I know it turns out right, so yeah. But it's still good every time I make it. Now we're going to try that little candy butternut squash. Dear hubby had a good idea about that. Gotta make sure it's not hot. I think some of that might have went up my nose. I don't know, or beside my nose or what, but he did good picking out that one. Now we're gonna cut into this ham steak and test how he did the meat. And like I said, we just got up that morning and threw that in the crock pot. My phone, y'all's going off. I'm sorry. I'll call them back later. Let's taste test this. Okay, we're going to taste test that. He did very good, y'all. We did a good job tonight. Y'all catch our Hey G-Ma What's for Supper playlist and our canning and preserving playlist. Y'all enjoy, and we will see y'all in the next one.